Hey everybody, this is John Q coming to you from San Diego, Comic-Con 2014, and I am here with a genius, a legend. I got to tell you, I'm a little giddy on.
This is going. Keep going.
I'm a little giddy on this one. Ted Adams from IDW, the co-founder of IDW, I should say. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's nice to meet you and have you here.
It's great to be here. I got to tell you, I'm just. We were talking a little bit before. The camera started rolling, and I was quite giddy then, and I'm even more giddy now because now I get to ask you these questions and talk to you. Just a few to start out with. As a founding member, how would you describe the growth throughout the past few years?
Well, you know, we've been in business for 15 years, so we've been at this for quite a while now, and our growth over the last couple of years has been a little quicker than it has been earlier in the company's history. So I always really kind of tried to take the approach of having a slow and steady approach to growth and not expanding too quickly and not biting off more than we could chew. But the company has really grown pretty tremendously over the last 3 years. The market has really responded to our comics and our books in a big way, and so that's given us the freedom to bring on more staff and do more books. And so the growth over probably the last 24 to 36 months has really been at a much more accelerated rate than it had been before.
Good. You know, that's you can't really see it, but there's just a plethora of things here in the room that I want to speak about. First one, you know, these are the there we go. These are the artist editions.
That's what this is.
These are the most amazing things I've ever seen. I was speaking to you about it off camera. In it, these things are well. Let's open it up and let's open it up and actually, I want you to explain it better than I do.
You can see me behind this book, but so what an artist edition is, you can see it's so big that it's actually consuming both of us. And these books are the brainchild of Scott Doonbeer, who's been working for me quite some time. And Scott came up with the idea of putting together a series of books where you could actually see the original art as it came off the artist drawing table. And so what you've got here is a full-size scan of Jim Steranko's Shield art. And it's done in a way so that you can actually see the whiteout, you can see all the editorial marks, and so it's an opportunity to see Jim's original art in a way that you just would never be able to see otherwise. And we've done these books with really some of the most legendary comic book creators of all time: Will Eisner, Jack Kirby, more modern guys like Dave Gibbons and Mike Mignola, Sergio Aragonés, and I mean, the list just goes on and on. We've done John Romita, we've done Joe Kubert, and so these books are really they're extremely important to me. I think they're really important for fans of comic art because while the books have a relatively high retail price, at the same time, there's just no other way you would ever be able to experience this. And you know, there's not the only way that you could do this is if you had somehow had access to the personal art collections of hundreds of different collectors and you were going around to their house individually. I mean, it's just really like the opportunity to be able to see these pages is just you know, it's just unbelievable. Yeah.
All the notes, all the whiteout, you can see where they change things, their measurements, everything.
And I mean, every page in you know that Jim did in the Shield is just spectacular. And one of the nice things about this book as well is that Jim did, and I particularly love this page. It really, you know, the Shield headquarters. I think you can see how much this influenced even what Marvel's doing with their Avengers movie and the Shield TV show. You can really see Jim's influence on their whole universe. So you see the classic Jim Steranko, and you get to see it in a way that you've never seen before, with the whiteout, the editorial notes. You're seeing his original art. And then Jim decided that he was going to do all new graphic design for this book. And so all the graphic design in between the chapters is completely new art and graphic design by Jim, who's 75 years old and is as talented today as he was back in the 60s when he was doing this. And it's just, you know, to be able to see that and you know, and to have Jim be able to contribute all this new work to this book as well is really extraordinary. So we have his classic work and work that he did literally this year.
It's amazing. I remember you Charles Schultz did one as well. Right. And I remember you saying that he drew so large that when it was shrunk down to this size, that was what, about a third of how large he drew, or two-thirds?
Yeah, I mean, and the strip, of course, when he would draw it, and it would actually be in the paper, it would be, you know, a fifth of the size or sixth of the size. I mean, it's just amazing. So, but even these comic pages, you can see. I mean, you know, this is just, you know, this is what, you know, 2 up, I believe, is what Jim was doing here. So it's 2 up, or might even be 2.5 up from an actual comic size. So, and so, like I said, we've been doing these for a while now. We started with Dave Stevens' The Rocketeer. That book did really well for us, and We've done Mad Comics. Before it was Mad Magazine, we did the Mad Comics. It has all those classic guys, Wally Wood and Harvey Kurtzman and Jack Davis. I mean, just those guys that are just legends in our business. We've done EC Comics. We did a Wally Wood book. So I mean, really, the list just goes on and on. But these are the legends. These are the people that the reason we're all here is because of these guys. Absolutely. And what I feel like we're able to do is really be able to show this work and make sure that the people remember the heritage and the history of what where we all come from. And like I said, just this page alone, you can look and see how much of the Marvel Universe is just in this single page. The current Marvel Universe and the current Marvel filmed universe in the form of the TV shows and the movies, so much of that just came out of what these guys did. So I love these books. So I'm glad you like it as well. Yeah. Although I got to tell you, this book is so heavy. Like, I brought this over from the convention center, which is about 3 blocks from here, and I was sweating afterwards. I mean, this thing is a beast. So I think it's the heaviest book we've ever done. So
how many of those do you have in your personal library?
All of them. Yeah, I make sure that we get our advance copies about 2 months before they hit the market, and they always go right home with me. So
I want to come to your library and start reading through them. Currently, out of all the licensed products and everything that IDW has, what's one of your personal favorites that you really like, and why?
Yeah, well, that's like asking me who my favorite kid is. So I don't know.
Well, I have a favorite kid. I'm just not going to tell which one it is.
I just had one kid, so I didn't ever have to answer that question. I was like, I'm done with one. He'll always be my favorite, right? So but to maybe to talk about some things that we're doing currently, we just picked up the rights to do Skylanders, which is based off of a video game that actually my son is a big fan of. And basically, in this video game, the kids, they take these characters. They're all sculpted as 3D toys, and it's a video game where the kids can play with the action figure, and then they set the action figure on a disc, and the character appears in their video game. So it's been that Skylanders is a multi-billion-dollar franchise for Activision, and we have the comic book rights. This is a 0 issue that we produced for Comic-Con, and the comic itself launches this fall. There's a new game coming out called Trap Team, and so we're going to have a comic series that ties into that. And we're really excited about this one. It's an opportunity. One of the things that I really like about the business over the last 18 months is we've really been able to introduce comics to a new audience. And it really started with us doing My Little Pony, which exploded in a giant way. And My Little Pony, I keep having these interactions with parents where they'll say, oh, my little girl loves My Little Pony. I brought home one of the comics, and she sat there and said, Daddy, read this to me. And having people tell me that story, and I'm telling you, I hear this story, especially at a place like this, I hear it all day long. Hearing, parents saying, my little girl wants them to read me this comic book. It's really, it really makes me feel like that's how so many of us got into this business. We're being aspirational to read, and to be able to help kids get excited about comics and introduce them to our medium. That's something that I'm really proud of. We have a format actually that we pioneered called the Micro Comic Fun Pack. And basically what this is you can see it's a small version of a comic book, kind of packaged as you can kind of see, kind of like a trading card set, although it's a little bigger. And we initially created this because we wanted to be able to get our comics into mass retailers. So Target, Toys R Us, Walmart, Kmart, all those kinds of places. And the challenge has always been for comic publishers, if you get your product placed in the bookstore section of those mass retailers, product doesn't really work there because it doesn't fit the racks well, and it's not a place where consumers are going to go. Kids aren't going to go into the book section and really find comics there. So this is designed specifically so that it can sit at the front of the stores where they have the trading cards and the trading card games. And so what we did was we tried to have that collectible feel to it, and I have an open one here I can show you. So this is the Turtles. So the pack comes with a comic book, and so you've got your comic book. And I do joke that we go from the world's smallest comic books all the way to the biggest in the artist editions, right? So we got you covered every format, right? So you got your comic book here that the kids can read, they can learn about. One nice thing about this that we're always really sure to make sure we do is when the story's done, ends with an ad for here's where to go next with Comic Shop Locator service. Nice. So we're driving these kids. This is available to be purchased, again, as I said, at all mass retailers. Being introduced to kids who, in large measure, don't even know comics exist. They just love the Turtles. They pick this up. They like it. Well, here's where you get your next one, and we send them to our favorite market, which is the comic book stores. So you got your comic book in there. You got a sticker sheet, and then it comes with a poster. The nice thing about the poster is it actually has a checklist for all the collectability. So here's the 4 comics you can collect, the 4 different posters, the 4 sticker sheets, and then we came up with these little sewer caps.
It's got everything in there.
All kinds of stuff, and it's a great value. This is in the $2.99, $3.99 price point, so it's really high value for this. And so we did this with My Little Pony last year around the holidays, and just had tremendous success. The sell-through was through the roof at retail. And so what we've done now is, for the movies, since Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comes out here in a couple of weeks, so this is at retail now. We did Transformers, so that was at retail through the Transformers movie. And then with Skylanders that I was talking about before, when Trap Team video game comes out, we actually are going to have an exclusive fun pack available at Toys R Us and a different exclusive fun pack available at GameStop. And these are really significant print runs, and really going to be an opportunity again to get hundreds of thousands of new comic fans introduced to comics via these fun packs. So, it's that for me. When you asked about my favorite licenses, it's not really, I don't have a favorite, because they all help us introduce a new audience to the medium that we all love. And things like Transformers, they really had its roots in comics all the way back to the 80s when Marvel was doing it. That fan base is already there, and that's kind of the pre-existing fan base. But so much of what we're doing is actually bringing new people into this medium. So
yeah, I'm amazed. Sorry, I dropped a couple of my questions here. Let me ask you. One of the questions is, can you tell us about a few new comics, which you already did? Oh, I'm sorry, that's the wrong question. I apologize. Comics-inspired TV shows and movies have become commonplace. Can you tell us, of course, what kinds of entertainment projects, besides those, anything coming TV, movies, things like that?
Yeah, I mean, we're taking a different approach on if you're talking about where we have IP that we co-own with the creators, if you're talking about those sorts of things. Sure. We actually have a bunch of books that are coming out over the summer that have actually started to launch. This is a catalog we did for the summer. The front cover here is a book. It's called Little Nemo: Return to Slumberland, which is by Eric Shanauer and Gabriel Rodriguez, which is a book I'm very excited about. Gabriel Rodriguez is best known for being the co-creator of Lock and Key with Joe Hill, which is one of our most acclaimed series, and a book that was actually a #1 New York Times bestseller for many weeks in a row. So that's one of the things that we're doing. But we also launched in May a new series called V Wars, and this actually spins out of a prose series that we did. So V Wars is by Jonathan Mayberry, who's also a New York Times best-selling author, and it's his creation. And we brought on Alan Robinson to do art on this one. And so V Wars is coming out it started as a prose book, and now we're doing it as a comic book. And then we're actually developing this as a TV show as well. But unlike most rights holders, where you go and do an option to a studio and you just let them take it and they're going to make all the creative decisions and the business decisions, what we're doing is actually putting our own money on the table. And so we're actually financing the pilot script for this TV show. So we're going to own this show.
So you get creative say.
100%. So we got in the pilot script. Mayberry has seen it, and we're discussing it with him. Nice. I have the ability to have creative input on it. We're working with Circle Confusion, who are the producers of The Walking Dead. So they really are the ones creatively who are pushing this along. And it's really I don't know of any other rights holders that are doing what we're doing in TV, where we're actually putting our own money into it, and so therefore we own it. And it's a much riskier thing because it's expensive to do. But in success, this means that we're actually going to own these shows. And so we're very excited about that one. So that's happening. We're also doing Winter World, which is a book that Chuck Dixon created, and our new series Butch Geis is drawing for us, which is just a beautiful, absolutely beautiful comic. This is available now. And both V Wars and Winter World, the first issues of both those books sold out, so into second printings. Wow. And actually the second issue of V Wars also sold out into a second printing. So the consumer response to our creator-owned books has been really strong. And then we just had out this week Ragnarok, which is Walt Simonson's return to Norse gods. It's the first time that he's done any Norse god stories since he worked on Thor. And so this one just came out this week and also has already sold out. So that one's really exciting, and you can just see Walt's art there. It's just beautiful. We actually did a cross promotion here in San Diego for Ragnarok. There's a local resort called Harrah's SoCal, and we did a cross promotion with them where we have billboards all over the city that say IDW and Harrah's SoCal welcome you to San Diego and the world's greatest Comic-Con, and it features Walt's art. So
coming in at the airport.
You saw it.
guys are
Yeah,
right
no,
there.
exactly.
Coming
So
into the
yeah,
airport.
yeah.
It's
So
right
we got
there. We're like, hey.
right. We got at the airport. We got billboards all over the place. There's 10 pedicabs floating around the
We saw
city.
those
Oh, did you see it?
last
No,
night,
there you go.
too.
See,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
marketing's working. So.
Doing well. It was like, hey.
Yeah.
You know?
And then and then next month, like I said, we've got Little Nemo, Return to Slumberland, and Eric Shanauer is an old friend of mine and just a terrific writer. He has his own series, Age of Bronze, which is a terrific book, and then he's also really well known for doing the Oz adaptations at Marvel. So this is written by Eric and then drawn, as I said, by Gabe. And Gabe's art in this book is just, I mean, it's just really special. This book is going to be, so this will be out in a couple of weeks, and it's one of the things that I'm the most proud to have published. Gabe has been with IDW from the very beginning. We did our first 2 comic books were 30 Days of Night and CSI, and Gabe was the artist on CSI, and he has worked for IDW ever since. And so that's more than 10 years of working for IDW. Most of that has been on Lock and Key, but even before that, he was doing lots of other things for us as well. So, and he's just, not only is he just a unique talent, but just a genuinely good guy. Somebody who's a pleasure to be around. So this book I'm really proud of. So those are some of the Critter-owned books that we've got launching, and some of those we're developing for TV ourselves, and then some will only exist as books.
I wanted to ask you real quick. You were talking about V-Wars and making that a TV show. Is that in production? Still writing?
So it's in the development stage. So the pilot script is written. Okay. It's written by a guy named Tim Schlattman, who was one of the showrunners on Dexter. So really terrific writer, and his pilot script is really good. It's really, really good. So we're excited about that one. So we're partnering on that with a company called E1. Okay. And what E1 is best known for is they do foreign sales for television. So what the process will be is we'll finalize the pilot script, and then we'll bring on a showrunner. So we'll bring on a director and attach that piece of talent. And then with E1, we'll go out and do foreign sales for the show. So we'll actually pre-sell it around the world, and then at the same time look for a domestic partner to have distribution rights for the U.S. But again, it's an important distinction, because it's not, what we're not doing is going to a U.S. network and saying, you can option this and own this. What we're saying is, we're going to make this show, and you can have distribution rights for it. And so the production budget is made up from foreign sales, domestic licensing fees, and then tax rebates and tax credits. And so that's how we finance the show. So it's a pretty exciting opportunity for us.
When are you trying to possibly get that on? So just so we can all keep.
The way TV works now, it's not so much, other than the major networks. There's not really that season of TV anymore. TV kind of rolls out at all times.
Netflix,
so
and everybody going there and watching their own things, and just on USA and all the other ones.
Right. So our goal is, we're going to finalize the pilot script, get a showrunner attached, and then be out to market here hopefully in the next couple of months. And if people respond in the way that I expect, because like I said, it's a really good script, we're hoping to be able to be in production before the end of the year. So which would put us on air, potentially this time next year.
Oh wow, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Before we end, I want to just, again, I'm a little in awe here with you. So you're talking, and I'm like a school kid, and I'm like, oh, well, I know that people are going to see this and go, really? John isn't talking at all. I'm just sitting here like a school kid, and I'm like, keep going. I wanted to talk to you about you have a beer.
You do have a beer.
You have a beer, and it's based off of. God, I wish it was
a little early in the day for the beer, though.
But it's based off of Lock and Key.
Yeah, it's so like we did the promotion.
Lock and Brewski.
There's a great brewery in town called Karl Strauss, and so they came to us and said, hey, well, how about we do a cross promotion? We'll create an IDW beer, and we'll serve it here during Comic-Con. And so Lock and Key is near and dear to our hearts. So we came up with Lock and Brewski. So it's actually being served right now at Karl Strauss downtown San Diego. So,
that seems like a trip we have to make. We've got to go try.
Tell them I sent you, and you can probably get a free one. So.
Oh, hey, you know what? Gladly, that is something I will do. So we talked about a lot of things you have coming out, anything like that. What now? This is something. I'm like the Barbara Walters of interviews. I'm not going to make you cry though.
Are you gonna ask me
No.
San Diego, I'll go with palm tree. Did I get it?
I want to know what color you want to be.
Oh, okay.
Blue, pink, orange. No, what I want to know is something that is sitting back here with you and the creators that you haven't told anybody yet, that you haven't put out a press release on. You don't necessarily have to give it all to me and to us, but where would we look? If you were a magician, which hand would we look at?
Well, wow, you're asking me to get some grief from my marketing team. I have to think about that one.
I have to. That's me doing my job.
I do. There's one thing that I'm working on that we haven't announced. And one of the first guys that we worked with is Ash Wood. Actually, the first guy that we published was Ash Wood, and so. Ash and I have been noodling around a way to bring some of the things that he does with his company, 3A, into comics. And so it's definitely still to be determined exactly what that's going to be, but that's something that hopefully this time next year, Ash will be here at the show, and we'll have something to show folks.
So, all right, so this time next year is what we're looking at. So am I assuming that you and I are going to talk before this time next year, and you'll have something even better to tell me?
Absolutely. So, yeah.
All right, well, let's do that. Let's definitely plan on that. Ted, I just such an honor to meet you, and such just a privilege. And I want to say thank you so much personally from me and everybody watching for taking the time and talking to me.
Thank you. Yeah, it's great to meet you.
Great to meet you again. Like I said, everybody, this is John Q with Ted Adams from IDW. We are at San Diego Comic-Con 2014, and we will catch you later.